What's up everyone, Darcblade here with a little bit of a breakdown of the developer livestream from Gamescom 2024. Now, Capcom are hosting 3 live streams showing off Monster Hunter Wilds, giving us some hunts and demonstrations of how the game works and operates. And basically, I'm going to be scouring through these developer live streams to maybe point out some bits of information that you may have missed. If you haven't seen the live streams yourself, maybe give you a more condensed version of what was shown. But anyway, first of all, when it comes to the living, breathing environments, as we know, the weather can change during hunts, which can change the state of the area. Whatever the current weather condition is, will actually have an effect on the endemic life as well, giving us more options to endemic life that can be used against monsters, but I can imagine this also affects maybe when it comes to folks who like to collect pets. Also, the weather conditions are probably going to play a part when it comes to the environmental traps that you can also use against monsters. Speaking of endemic life as well, you can use your grapple against them to obtain certain items, such as bleeding pods which were grabbed from a little alligator-looking creature. Now, some of you may be pleased to know that the map has changed. It's now a 3D map that is supposed to be easier to navigate. Waypoints can be placed on the map as well that allows your secret to autopilot to those said points. The 3D map really did look gorgeous to look at, and of course all the endemic life, monsters and points of interest can be seen on this 3D map. Which comes to the next point, which is when it comes to hunts and quests. They can be obtained in 3 ways now. You can either get them directly from your handler, like the standard way that you would get quests. I can imagine we'll get a quest board as well, which pretty much acts like the handler, but I assume these are going to be in the bigger cities if they are in this game. On top of that, we can also activate quests by engaging monsters in the field. Just hitting them will initiate the quest, as long as we don't already have a quest accepted. And finally, you can also get quests from the world map and pinpointing what monster you want to activate a hunt for that way. So there is multiple ways to activate hunts and keep a hunting session going. Of course, during the demo, they only really showed off the Windward Plains. They didn't show off the Scarlet Forest. When it comes to items in the UI, they showed us that there is an extended version of the item bar, which looks like you can group certain items into categories and select from them. They also said that the supply items, the items that you would normally get in your blue box, found in Monster Hunter World and other Monster Hunter games, can now be found in Secret's bag, which gets updated periodically. Basically, you have to mount your secret mount, and then you'll be able to access them that way. Does this mean that every player will have their own individual set items? We'll have to wait and see. I think that is the case, so we may no longer have to worry about people stealing all the items from the blue box. Of course, during the demonstration there was lots of weapon and combat talk. For example, they showed off the ghillie mantle, which now had a prompt for a sneak attack. I'm wondering if they've combined aspects of the assassin's mantle from Monster Hunter World with the ghillie mantle. They showed off hunters attacking from the secret mount, although to be honest, mounting combat doesn't seem quite as effective as if your feet are on the ground. But I could be mistaken here. Of course, during the demonstration, they really only hunted Doshiguma, and in doing so, it demonstrated the herd or the pack mentality that some of these monsters have, as well as the tools we can use to separate them, such as the large dung pods. They also showed off luring pods as well, which almost recreated the Aya or aggro lines that you would see from Behemoth for Safi'jiiva. Whether these are active all the time or whether they're linked to the luring pods, we'll have to wait and see. I believe they are linked to the pods, which also makes me think that the Challenger mantle won't return with this game, but we'll have to wait and see. Monster Mounting also came back in style, with weapons having access to different attacks whilst mounting the monster. It's good to see that the normal style of mounting monsters is back, rather than wyvern riding. But one of the biggest aspects when it came to combat was focus strikes and the focus mode. Focus mode definitely seems that it's going to be a mechanic that all of us are going to have to learn and master, as it was used almost all the time that the developers were attacking monsters. These of course create wounds on the monster, which are highlighted when you are using focus mode. They look like big red gashes on the monster, to which when you deal damage to them, you deal increased damage yourself, but it also gives you access to the focus strike, which was performed with R1, after which it looked like the wound closed, so we cannot spam this hard-hitting move over and over again. Which makes me wonder, do we balance having that increased damage and the debuff of the wound and just attack it normally, or do we go for that focus strike which can potentially close the wound more quickly? I could be mistaken in this mechanic, but I haven't got to try the game yet. The developers also gave us a demonstration when Dashugama, when it became enraged, it opened up its old wounds. Now, maybe this is just linked to that specific monster, but I can imagine this passing over to other monsters as well. So when they become enraged, these wounds open back up, so we don't have to necessarily worry about wounding them again. The developers did also say that all weapons have some form of perfect timing input. For example, with the lance, it showed off the power clash, which weapons that can guard will gain access to this, which when you block at the right time, you'll go into this button mashing mode to deal some extra damage if you win. I assume certain other weapons, like the bow, would have a perfect timing dodge to it, and I assume also some weapons like the switch axe or the longsword will have access to some form of parry mechanic. One aspect gunners may be wondering about is focus mode and aiming. Basically, it's the same for gunners. And speaking of gunners, there was some bits of information dropped, not only for the light bowgun, but also the bow. For example, with the light bowguns, heavy bowguns as well, to be honest, ammo is divided into two categories. You have a weak version of the ammo, which is infinite in supply, but you also have a standard or stronger version, which is a consumable. This could be good, as I imagine the weaker versions are to alleviate the need to have to constantly go back to camp in the middle of a hunt. And when it comes to the bow, coatings are no longer items. They are instead on a cooldown. Now, how quick this cooldown is, we'll have to wait and see. But this, again, I think is to help the quality of life of the weapon. The developers also showed off a system with the SOS flare where you can summon AI hunters to help you. So even if you don't play online or you'd like to play solo, but maybe you're having a little tough time with a hunt, you can summon in AI hunters to assist. They seem to be fairly competent as well from what was shown off. But some miscellaneous points before we go. First of all, you can pick up traps now, you don't waste them. If you misplace a trap, you can actually just pick it back up and put it back in your inventory. No longer do you have to destroy it. On top of that, there are no male and female only armors. You can now use armor for both genders. So when you craft armor, it looks like we're going to get two options. So for example, say we have the hunter's armor. Actually, a better example would be the bone armor. We would typically get a male version and a female version. We'll get both of those still, but regardless of if you pick male or female, you can use either one, depending on what your preference is. This is great because sometimes in the previous games, the male armor has been superior in terms of looks, or sometimes the female armor has. This time, we're going to get the best of both worlds. I cannot wait to get my hands on a maid outfit and wear it with pride alongside my beard. Another question that some players may have been wondering about is your palico. Yes, it speaks English, but you can turn that off and turn it back to the normal palico language, which it will still be subtitled so it can get prompts that way. But for those of you who were worried about if the palico's English-speaking voice is going to be annoying, you can turn it off. There was also some hints when it comes to builds, but they didn't go into great details, and I can imagine things changing from what was shown in the demo. Especially when it comes to the armor skills that were shown off. Basically, set bonuses now can be tied to monster groups rather than specific monsters. I can imagine some of the monsters having specific, you can only find this set bonus on that monster, but certain other monsters, like for example, say the crit element set bonus, it could be found on different monsters who specialize in elements. So it could be, say, Rathalos and Raydal. Their armors both come with critical element on, so you can mix and match that way. Also, for those of you who are wondering, whilst you can carry two weapons, the skills on your armor stay the same. So, when it comes to customizing your builds, you'll want to put the weapon-specific skills, such as the Bow Charge Plus for the bow, on the bow itself via the decoration slots. This also makes me wonder that some weapons may synergize more with others, such as, say, the Gun Lance and a sticky bowgun. They also talked about pop-up camps, which are little custom camps that you can pretty much set up anywhere on the map. But be warned, these can be attacked by monsters if they're too close. And finally, the last bit of information I can probably give you that stood out to me was you can customize your meals in the field. So instead of just cooking a standard meal that gives you a well-done steak or something, the meal you cook can have canteen properties, so increased attack, defense, elemental resistance, so on and so forth. So that is another good change. So there we have it. Those are all the things you may have missed from the developer live stream at Gamescom Day 1. I'll be back tomorrow for day 2 and then day 3, but I can imagine most of the information has been revealed today, and we're going to get little tidbits over the next 2 days. But what were your thoughts, and did you notice anything that wasn't listed here or mentioned in previous trailers or breakdowns? Please leave a comment down below, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a little breakdown video of the developer live stream of Monster Hunter Wilds from Gamescom. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.